All right, without further ado, we'll bring on John Winstead.
Greetings and welcome. Thanks for coming out tonight. How many people out here are not familiar with the information I'm going to present tonight? Spiritual quantum healing. How many people have never seen me do a presentation before? Wow. Okay. Well, what we're going to do tonight, we're going to explore a little bit. We're going to explore outside the medical model that you're familiar with. Pretty much entrenched in what is called Newtonian physics, to where they reduce everything down to a molecular structure, and then they use drugs and toxic chemicals primarily to force the body into doing something that is unnatural. And they do a great job when it comes to trauma and putting you back together, being in a car wreck. But they're a failure when it comes to illness and sickness and degenerative disease, especially around cancer. And the reason is because there's more money in treatment than it is in eliminating illness and sickness. So we're going to go outside that medical model tonight, and we're going to look at the body and health from a different perspective. We're going to look at it from a spiritual perspective and also from a quantum physics perspective. And we're kind of going into that twilight zone. And that twilight zone is where spirituality and quantum physics actually become one. Because in quantum physics, which was pretty much born around the early 1900s, they found that quantum physics, which is the study of the subatomic, they find that quantum physics is stranger than you can imagine, because the laws that we're accustomed to break down, and they don't behave the same way when you get down to the subatomic level. And that subatomic level is that twilight zone where everything that you have been told that we're energy, everything is energetic, everything is energy, but that sounds nice. And you've probably seen the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? How many people saw that movie? And it talked about, that's where it brought quantum physics out of the closet and kind of gave you an introduction of what quantum physics is. And they talked about how we create our reality. And they talked about how spirituality is basically quantum physics at that subatomic level. And they talk about how we are responsible for what we attract into our lives. Well, at that level, we're going to look at it from a health perspective, because the body is a community of individual living cells, and every cell has all the systems that you have. Every cell in your body has a reproductive system, has a waste system, has a hormone system. Every part of your outward being, every individual cell has. And what's totally fascinating is that these trillions of cells all work in a community. They have the intelligence to work in a community to where everything is in harmony. And when you look at your physical body from a different perspective, it basically is awe. You're in awe is how those individual cells can work in harmony to create muscles and the liver and digestive system. Trillions of cells. How do they know how to do that? What is guiding every individual cell to cooperate and work in a harmonious manner? Well, what's fascinating about that is that each individual cell, if you get right down to the molecular structure, is pure consciousness. It's pure consciousness. It's energy. And there we are in that twilight zone to where you break the cell down to the molecular structure and the atomic structure, and you get into that area where you become into the spiritual realm. And in the spiritual realm, that's where you are familiar with your concept of what God is. And there's thousands of different religions, and since the beginning of time, man has tried to understand the incomprehensible and make it understandable as to where he can convey it to other people. And one of the areas that I actually became interested in was a book called Conversations with God. How many people has read this book? There's something very interesting in this book. Whether you believe the story behind it or not is irrelevant, because there's so much wisdom in this book. And one of the things that grabbed me was the statement that there's only two emotions that we operate off of, and that's love and fear. And I think that's so important, because what we're going to do tonight is we're going to look at different pieces of the puzzle, and we're going to put this puzzle together, and we're going to see how we can apply it to your health in a way that you're probably not familiar with. Because every cell in your body has a consciousness, and therefore you are a subconscious being or spiritual being having a human experience. And 95 to 98% of all of your actions is controlled by your unconscious mind. That's how you can walk and talk at the same time. Same way you can drive and talk at the same time. Most everything has been programmed at an earlier age, and the unconscious mind is running the show. So if we look at this thing around love and fear, based on what it says in this book, and I'm going to read you a short paragraph. And as I read this paragraph, I want you to imagine and look at your life and look at the world and see how each one of these emotions, which is love and fear, applies to our everyday life and to our politics and to our religion and to the world events. And then we're going to come back to that, and we're going to focus on the fact that since everything is energy, based on the movie that you saw, which is What the Bleep Do We Know? Well, when you saw that movie, it was intriguing, and it was exciting, and it made sense. And then you just kind of left it there and went home. But what we're going to do is we're going to take it out of the laboratory, we're going to take it out of theory, and we're going to combine it with this, and we're going to demonstrate it. And later on in the presentation, I'm going to ask for a volunteer. And the volunteer I'm looking for is somebody who has been dealing with chronic issues of maybe depression or cancer or degenerative disease that the doctors have failed you on. So if you are battling cancer or have had cancer or depression, when I ask for a volunteer, you may be interested. Because what we're going to do is we're going to come and we're going to communicate with that consciousness, that unconscious part of you that knows why you have depression. We're going to communicate with that part of you that knows why you have cancer. We're going to communicate with that part of you that knows why you had to have a hysterectomy. Because that part of you knows why, and it also knows how to heal you. And let me start out with this to kind of set the tone. But as I read this, we're going to come back and we're going to focus on this thing called love, and we're going to compare it to this thing called fear. Because if you've had major degenerative health problems and if there's an unresolved emotional issue from the past, then you're operating off of fear. And what's fascinating is we're going to combine this thing called quantum physics with spirituality. We're going to look at the aspects of both quantum physics and spirituality and see how they blend into one, and then hopefully we can do some healing tonight. In fact, we're going to do a group experiment to where I'm going to ask everybody in the room to participate, and hopefully we can do something that hasn't been done before. So we're just going to play and experiment a little bit tonight. Now I'm going to throw some things out and see if it kind of stimulates your imagination. So let me start out with this. And this paragraph right here, when I read this, kind of stuck in my mind, because the whole concept around the Conversations with God book is that everything is basically love. But yet when you bring it down to the physical level, then you have a duality of love and fear. Because in the world, you don't know what hot is unless you have a reference to what cold is. Tall has no meaning unless you have an experience of what short is. Right is not right unless you have an experience of what left is. So we're going to look at love and fear from that perspective. So let's just allow your mind to focus on how the world operates based on what I'm going to read to you. And in the book it says, every action taken by human beings is based in love or fear. Not simply those dealing with relationships, decisions affecting business, industry, politics, religion, the education of your young, the social agenda of your nations, the economic goals of your society, choices involving war, peace, attack, defense, aggression, submission. Every single free choice you ever undertake arises out of one of the only two possible thoughts, and that's the thought of love or a thought of fear. Fear is the energy that contracts. It closes down. It draws in. It runs. It hides. It hoards. It harms. Love is the energy which expands. It opens up. It sends out. It stays. It reveals. It shares. And it heals. Have you heard the saying, love heals? Fear wraps our bodies in clothing. Love allows us to stand naked. Fear clings to, clutches all that we have. Love gives all that we have away. Fear holds close. Love holds dear. Fear grasps. Love lets go. Fear rankles. Love soothes. Fear attacks. Love amends. Every human thought, word, or deed is based in one emotion or the other. So look at the world today. Is it operating out of love or is it operating out of fear? So when we look at health, we're going to look at it from that perspective also. So if you have cancer and you go to the medical doctor, are you operating now out of love or are you operating out of fear? Does he instill love in you or does he instill fear in you? When you go for an operation, does he soothe you or do you feel the fear? So we're going to look at that. And as I came across that information, it was a piece of the puzzle. And I tell people, over the years, I've kind of been out there panning for gold in the stream of life. And you may go for weeks or months panning, and all of a sudden you get this little golden nugget. And you put this little golden nugget down, and it's a piece of the puzzle. And life's exciting, and you never know what you're going to find. But I have been very intrigued in researching this area around spirituality and around quantum physics because I saw common denominators there. And one of the things that I came across was an article that actually came out in 1938, and it was on the front page of the New York Times. And this medical doctor actually saw the future. Unfortunately, over 70 years later, the medical model that you're aware of refuses to acknowledge what he saw because they're locked into greed and fear based on money. Cancer, for example, is big business. And the reason we don't have a cure for cancer is because corporate America will not allow it. And isn't it more than strange that the FDA's rule is that only a drug, which is a toxin, can prevent, cure, or treat a disease. Disregard the fact that anything out there in nature could do that, but their rule is only a toxic, only a poison can do that. Isn't it more than strange that they treat you with radiation and chemotherapy when you have cancer, and that's the very things that cause cancer? Isn't it more than strange that they actually cause you to leave your common sense behind and put you in fear as soon as you go in and you're diagnosed with cancer? They get you to leave your common sense behind because it's common knowledge that we don't want to get around a nuclear power plant that's leaking radiation. It's common knowledge not to get too many dental x-rays or too many mammograms. It's common knowledge to be afraid of a dirty bomb that spews out radiation because it causes cancer. But once you get cancer, now your common sense goes out the window and you're open to let them radiate you with the very thing that causes cancer. We don't want to have our water polluted with toxins. We're concerned about nitrates in our food. We're concerned about chemicals and paints and all kind of stuff that you read in the news because it causes cancer. But when you go to the doctor and they diagnose you with cancer, your common sense is left aside because now they put some of the most toxic chemicals ever devised into the human body. And one of the side effects of chemotherapy is it causes cancer. More people die from the treatment because what they're doing is they're trying to force the body to do something that is unnatural. I'm going to show you a different approach and let you decide. Their model is based in fear. This model we're going to explore is based in love. And what's fascinating is that I've seen some amazing results when you base it in love. But let me read you this little article that came out in the New York Times. And this was a very prestigious medical doctor who was talking before a gathering of surgeons from all over the country. And he had worked with people previous to this who were also experimenting with frequencies and energy. And this guy, his name was Dr. George W. Crowell. And he said, the medical man of the future would tune in on the living body as one does now on an ordinary radio. By listening in to the short waves and the long waves transmitted by the various organs, he would hear the symphony played by the living organism, and he would determine the rhythms of the dance of life. Long before there was any outward evidence of disease, the physician radio engineer of the future would thus be enabled to tell by the reception of the life waves, whether they were playing a melody of health or whether they were signaling an SOS. This man saw the future, and he knew that the body radiated energy. And in fact, in 1974, Fritz Albert Pops, which is a German research physicist, proved that the individual cells in our body communicate with each other using light waves. And that's how the cells communicate. Light waves is a form of electromagnetic radiation. The cells in your body are communicating, sending out energy, light waves, and receiving light waves. That's on a quantum level, and that's also down at the spiritual level. So, unfortunately, the medical community as we know it was locked into drugs and surgery because that's where the money's at. You can't make money when you're presenting natural herbs. There's no money in that. You can't patent it. So when I saw that, I was very intrigued because I was wondering, I was experimenting with the electromagnetic devices and was familiar with Royal Rife, who was using frequencies to cure cancer and other diseases. And then I came across another nugget. And that nugget was in 1979, there was a company that actually patented the application of using a magnet as a diagnostic tool. Because until I came across that, this article here was just one of those things, well, it sounds good. You know, hopefully somebody will come across a way to do that where they can listen to the body and pick up the life waves and tell whether the body is in a state of illness or where the body is playing a symphony. And lo and behold, this company came out with a way to do that. They actually wrote several books on the effects of magnetic energy on the human body, and in the process gained over 100 different patents. And one of the patents was they found that if you take a magnet, North Pole and South Pole, and you lay a person down on a massage table with their shoes on, and you take this magnet and you place it externally on their body, whether it's on the liver, the lungs, the heart, or whatever, and you pick up their feet, if their leg shortens, then the body is reacting to that magnetic energy. If the legs don't shorten, the body doesn't react to the polarity. They found you can turn that magnet over and put the opposite polarity on the body and check the feet, and if the body did not respond to either polarity, it meant that those cells, that organ, was in a state of harmony. It was signaling a symphony. It was in a state of balance. But if one polarity of the magnet actually created stress in that body part, the body would create a resistance to that further weakening and literally cause the leg to shorten. So they did so much experiments with it, they actually patented the application. So when I came across that, fortunately I was able to take a seminar with one of the gentlemen who had actually trained with the people who discovered this. And I bought the magnets, went home and grabbed me some feet anywhere I could, and started practicing. And over a period of years, I was able to evolve this by taking other classes and seminars and continuously panning in that stream of life and getting these nuggets. I was able to evolve this to the point where I didn't need the magnets anymore. The magnets were like training wheels. Once I got up to speed, I didn't need the magnets because I had evolved it to the point where I could directly communicate with the unconscious. But until then, I had no way of knowing how to do that. But this acting as training wheels got me to that point. And as I continued to evolve this, I found from experience and observation that even though the medical community has thousands of names for diseases, Lord knows they can sit down and rattle off names you can't even pronounce. But what's fascinating is that most all of them can be boiled down to 4 things. And there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, these 4 things is what goes wrong in your body. And the nice thing about it is I didn't want to become an expert, because I looked out in the world and I saw that there's a lot of experts out there. And there's herbalists out there, there's chiropractors, there's nutritionists, there's dietitians. And everyone has been trained in their field and they're an expert. If you go to an herbalist, he's not going to adjust you back. He's going to talk about herbs. If you go to a nutritionist, he's not going to talk to you about herbs specifically. He's going to talk to you about nutrition. A chiropractor is going to work with you back. But what I noticed is that it doesn't work for everybody. Why is it that some people get results with an herbalist, some people don't? It's like they have to keep going to different experts to find out the one that works. So as I evolved and looked at this, I thought, well, why not go to the ultimate expert? The ultimate expert is you. Nobody knows your body better than you do. Everybody is different, meaning that everybody has different experiences in life. Everybody has a different program in their unconscious mind. And if you look out, and you've probably seen books, there's a number of books to where they talk about the majority of health problems is caused by mental stress. And then you look out and you see there's another expert says, no, the majority of health problems is caused by what you eat. Well, and you look out and you see, no, a lot of the health problems is caused by problems with your back. Everybody, if you look out in the news, everybody is telling you that illness is caused by this, illness is caused by that, depending on who you talk to. Well, you can get really confused because you don't know who to believe. But what's fascinating is if we go directly to you and ask you, your body knows what's going on. And what I discovered is that if you've got cancer, if you've got diabetes, if you've got fibromyalgia, if you've got lupus, whatever these fancy names are, you can boil it down to one of these 4. The first one is the body is malnourished. If the body is malnourished, you know, it's like you're burning kerosene in your car. You're going to sputter and knock and smoke, and the body is going to get weak. It can't function properly unless it's properly nourished. Well, the second thing, which goes hand in hand with the first, is the body becomes toxic. If you can't eliminate the waste properly, the body holds toxins, and the toxins poison the body, poisons the cells. You can also have environmental toxins. You can also be exposed to paints and chemicals and stuff that affect the cells that also make you toxic. The third one is you can have structural misalignment in the back, to where you've got neck pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, and that interferes with the nerve energy. And the fourth one, which is a biggie, is that you can have unresolved emotional issues from your past that is creating stress in your body. And if you ask the body which one of these, or in a lot of cases it can be all four, but you ask the body, what is the priority? And the body will tell you. And there's nobody out there that knows your body like you do. Your unconscious mind knows what's going on. It knows why you have back problems. It knows why your immune system got suppressed and you developed cancer. If you ask the medical community, they don't have a clue why you got cancer. You know, they can guess and say, well, maybe you ate the wrong kind of foods, or we just don't know. But they have a one-size-fits-all approach to treating it. And it's like an assembly line. The only approach they have is radiation, chemotherapy, and surgery. And isn't it more than strange that that's all they have when it comes to most everything else? Drugs and surgery. Thank goodness for the surgery, because if you're in a wreck or a shot, they can put you back together. But if you've got illnesses and if you've got sickness, then drugs and surgery is the only thing they've got. So what they're doing, they're stuck in Newtonian physics. They're trying to force the body to do something that it's not naturally designed to do. They put you on blood pressure medication for the rest of your life to force the body to lower the blood pressure. And all the drugs have side effects. It's not like they went into the laboratory and they found a miracle drug that lowers blood pressure, and that's all it does. What they did is they found a poison that one of the side effects out of the long list of the side effects is it lowers blood pressure. Or it has this effect. But when you read the pamphlets that come with it, look at all the other side effects. It's like this one I saw on TV. They were advertising Veramist and for your seasonal allergies. And the woman was running happily. You probably saw that. You know, she's happy, smiling, gay. And you didn't even really focus on the side effects, because the side effects, it causes nasal sores, nosebleeds, cataracts can occur, and glaucoma. So you can easily get rid of your runny nose while you go blind. And that company makes millions of dollars because people just, their common sense just goes right out the window. Same way with cancer. I mean, I can tell you horror stories after horror stories about the deadly effects of cancer. And cancer has been one of my big passions, because I saw relatives die early on, and I wanted to know, what is this thing called cancer? And why is it that they're poisoning my first cousin with radiation and chemotherapy? And isn't that the same thing that causes cancer? Why are they doing that? And why is he suffering a horrible death? So I did some research, and I can do a whole seminar on that, but we won't go there. What I want to share with you tonight is getting back to the spirituality and the quantum physics aspect, is that, like I said, if we can communicate with your unconscious mind, your body will tell us what it needs. It'll tell us if it's malnourished. It'll tell us if there's structural misalignment in the back. And most back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, if you've got shoulder pain and neck pain or back problems, so far I've always found an unresolved emotional issue. And I've uploaded videos from 2020 to where they actually validated that, to where one medical doctor was getting 90% success rate with his patients, and they had tried everything. They'd been to chiropractors, therapy, and all this, and all he was doing was testing them to make sure they didn't have a physical injury, and taking them into a room and giving them a 2-hour seminar. And they were getting a 90% success rate of eliminating their pain. So you say, well, how is it he just talks to them and they've tried everything else, but yet they're eliminating their pain? Because what he discovered is that most people who have back pain, and he was showing that, yes, that there are people out there who have bulging discs, degenerative disease, that don't have back pain. And there's people out there that have a perfectly normal back that have excruciating back pain. What he found is that the unconscious mind is trying to do you a favor by creating the back pain to distract you from dealing with an unresolved emotional issue. And early on, he found out that was anger and rage. Since then, he has discovered and written several more books to include other emotions that also are around that. Well, in my research, I've gotten people out of back pain doing the same thing. Just asking their unconscious mind, what vertebrae is out, and what is there an unresolved emotional there, and what is the unresolved emotion? And the fascinating thing is that once we determine what the unresolved emotion is, the body will tell us how stressful it is to your overall well-being based on an imaginary scale. It'll actually give us a number. And it'll also take us back to the age of cause where this actually got planted. And in most cases, it goes back to childhood. And it'll also tell us how it wants to heal. And what I've discovered is that the unconscious is like that little child. And if you look at it from this perspective, if you've got a child that's outside playing in the yard, you love that little child. And it's okay for that little child to play. But if you look out the window and you see that little child is out there, it's fell and it's hurt and it's crying, you don't grab a stick and go out there and try and beat that little child into submission to make it stop crying. You go out there based on love in your heart and compassion and try and find out, why is that little child crying? What has happened that it's hurting, and how can I help? The medical community uses a stick. What I found works best is love. And that's what we're going to demonstrate tonight. So how do we do that? Well, we do that the same way that they did it. They used a patented diagnostic application to where they were using the leg links. And that's what I do. I sit you down in a chair and 3 stools up here, and you just drape your feet over the stool, or if you've got a recliner, you raise the recliner up, and I just gently, with your shoes on, I don't work with bare feet. You just keep your shoes on, and I put them together, and I just gently hold them. And I start talking to your unconscious mind, just like I'm talking to you. But over the years, I have developed a connection, a communication link, a trust, whatever you call it. I don't really understand it because the way it evolved. But the unconscious always responds, and it always answers my questions. It can't verbalize and talk to me like I'm talking to you, but it can give me a signal. And that signal is, it'll shorten one leg. It's like a yes or no, yes and no, yes and no. And based on a yes and no response, I can formulate the questions around that. I can ask, can we find out why this person has cancer? And if the leg's shortened, then we can ask, is it because there's vitamin mineral deficiency there? Is it because the body's toxic? Is it structural misalignment interfering with nerve energy? Or is it an unresolved emotional issue? And I can tell you from experience that every person I've tested who's had cancer, there's always an unresolved emotional issue there. If you read the book by Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, she healed her life because she released an unresolved emotional issue. She's got a whole book. She's got whole seminars teaching how to overcome cancer based on love and releasing negative emotions. Well, I found that there's a combination of things. Is that if the body is under stress, and it's all stress, vitamin mineral deficiency creates stress, toxicity creates stress, structural misalignment creates stress, unresolved emotional issues create stress, and there's your common denominator. If anybody ever asks you what causes cancer, you can tell them. And the cause of cancer is a compromised immune system. Now, you have cancer cells in your body every day. And what keeps you from developing tumors is your immune system. There's no doctor out there that can heal your body, and there's no drug in the drugstore that can heal your body. Only your body has the wisdom and intelligence. It knows how to heal cancer. It knows how to keep you well. It knows how to eliminate the flu, how to eliminate the colds, how to eliminate viral bacterial infection. It's doing it all the time. But something has to create a stress factor in your body to where the immune system can't recognize the cancer and it can't deal with it, and the cancer continues to grow. And what's sad is the fact that if you notice a tumor and you go to the doctor immediately tries to put you in fear and scares you and tells you that we've got to do something right now. We need to put you on chemotherapy. We need to start you on chemotherapy as soon as possible. We've got to radiate it. We've got to shrink that tumor. But what's fascinating is that tumor's been with you for a long time. It takes about 8 years for a tumor to present itself. And I can back everything I'm telling you up with videos. I've got videos uploaded on the internet just waiting for somebody to ask me so I can share it with them. And in fact, I've got some handouts here that at the end of the seminar, if you're interested, and I know not everybody is interested because I've been down this road before, but on the back of this, these handouts are video links. And these video links are life-saving videos. Literally life-saving videos. So if you don't get anything out of this seminar tonight, if you take one of these handouts and pull it up on your computer and watch these videos, I guarantee you, if you watch this one called Cancer, Healing from the Inside Out, you will know more about the cause, prevention, and cure of cancer than the doctors down here who treat it. Guaranteed, hands down. Because they don't even know this because they're not trained in this. They're forbidden. They cannot go outside the medical model and tell you about anything natural because, one, their malpractice insurance won't cover it. Second, it's against the law. They can be fined and go to jail. And third, they're on a very short lease and the FDA would come down on them like a sledgehammer because the medical system is controlled at a higher level. It's all about the money, and we don't know about it because we've been so led down this road. But first thing you have to do in order to overcome a major illness like cancer is you have to take responsibility for your health. You can't just go out and just put your health in somebody's expertise and think that they have your best interest in mind and they're going to heal you. You have to take responsibility for what you have attracted, and second, you have to educate yourself. Because in this case, what you don't know literally can kill you. But the more you know, and I tell people the cure for cancer is education. Once you understand how the system is set up, how the system works, how your body works, and how to overcome what you have been doing that created the cancer, your chances of healing are great. But unless you do that, you go down the same path that most everybody else does. And the statistics are horrible. So what I do with people, I don't treat cancer, have no medical training, I'm not a doctor, do not diagnose, nor do I prescribe anything. I work with energy. I work with spiritual energy. And I allow you to see what your body has to say. I'm not the expert, but you are. And I tell people, I'm the messenger. I'm like an interpreter. I can communicate with that part of you and let that part of you reveal what's going on inside your body, and I can guide you towards healing. But you're the actual healer. You have all the resources within you right now to heal your body. You're the expert. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Is I'm going to ask for a volunteer, and I hope that somebody out there is willing to play. And
we're actually going to take a 5-minute break. The best part is coming up now, but it's going to be even better because we have a projector.
Okay.
You can actually see he's talking about the leg length changing, but we have a screen, a projector, so you can actually sit in your seat and actually see that. So we are filming this tonight, so just keep that in mind if you want to volunteer that you'll be on camera and all that, just to FYI. So we'll take like a quick 5-minute break, set that up. All right, take it away.
Okay, now it's for the fun part. And I've got two volunteers already. So we're going to start with, Teresa. Okay.
Good luck.
Okay, if you'll tell everybody what kind of problem you've got.
I have a soft voice. I suffer from debilitating migraine headaches, and I have been since I was a teenager, and have been going to neurologist my entire life. Been like a test patient for all types of medications, and even have to end up taking morphine, and am in the bed, debilitated almost every week of my life with migraines. So sometimes 2 or 3 days. So would really, really like to not be in pain anymore.
Great.
Okay, now I have no idea what's wrong with her, but she does. So we're going to ask her body and see what her body says. So have a seat right there. And all you have to do is put your feet, just drape your legs over that stool. Okay. Now I'm going to slide the stool up a little bit. So now her legs are right here, even. If you can see that on the camera.
It was better with the bright light. It's black on black.
Yeah.
Need some more light?
Black on black.
Can't see it. Turn the lights on.
Put a white paper on the floor. Paper on the floor. How about that folded?
How about that?
It's a folder.
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
How much is paper worth?
Okay. Now, if you can see on the screen there, her feet are even right there where they touch. See that? Everybody see that? Okay, now, they're just resting in the palm of my hand. If I move and jiggle her feet and turn them out, they come back even. So I'm going to ask her unconscious mind if I have contact, and if I've got contact, to give me a signal by shortening one leg, okay? So do I have contact? And look at that. Can you see that? Now they're just resting. I'm not even touching their feet. And look at that. I just gently pick them up and it goes, look how far it goes. Now, if I ask the body to give me a neutral indication, it comes right back to normal. See that? And I ask the body, can we find out what the primary cause of her headaches are? See it shorten? Look at that. This is the short leg. I pull on the short leg. Look where it's short. They're just resting on my fingers, and I allow the body to come back to normal. And see it coming back to normal? Look at that. So the body's willing to cooperate. So let's ask, is it coming from vitamin mineral deficiency? And you can see, what does it say? It says no. Is it coming from toxicity? What does it say? No. Is it coming from structural misalignment? What does it say? Yes. Okay. Now, it didn't shorten quite as much, but it's indicating there's a structural misalignment there. But let's ask, what's causing that structural misalignment? And is it coming from an unresolved emotional issue? And what does it say? Look at that. Look at that foot short. It goes all the way up there. It's like it's shouting. You know, that what happens is that her unconscious mind has created the muscle tension and the muscle contraction that has pulled the vertebrae out, and we're going to find out what vertebrae, and that's creating her migraine headaches. Somewhere up here, I know that. Okay. So let's ask her body. Her body knows what vertebrae is out. I don't. I'm not a chiropractor, but I think we got a chiropractor here, don't we? So let's ask her body. Is it coming from her lower back? What does it say? No. Is it coming from her mid-back? No. Is it coming from her neck? What does it say? Yes. All right. What vertebrae is it? Is it C1? What does it say? Look at this. It's like her muscles are just turning in. It's just constricting when I ask that question. Is it coming from C1? First cervical vertebrae, the atlas, is causing her migraine headaches. Is it coming from C2? What does it say? Coming C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, C1. Look at that. Shortens right back up. Okay. Now we want to find out, why is that vertebrae under so much stress? What's causing that vertebrae to be out? And we know that it's an unresolved emotional issue. Is that a true statement? It says yes. All right, let's find out, what is the emotion here that we're dealing with? Is it around hostility? No, it's not. Is it around fear of loss? What does it say? Is it around grief and guilt? What does it say? No, it's around fear of loss. So let's find the subheading. Under that is a list of subheadings, and I'm going to grab that chart right here. And I'm going to ask, is it subheading 1, subheading 2, subheading 3, subheading 4, subheading 5? And it shortens on subheading 5. Subheading 5 under fear of loss is threatened. Disappointment and threatened. Is that a true statement? Look at a foot shorten. Look at it actually turn in. It's shouting. It's saying yes. Now we want to find out, how stressful is this unresolved emotion that she's holding on to on an imaginary scale from 0 to 100. Okay? 100 being really stressed out. So is it greater than 80%? What does it say? Okay, is it greater than 90%? What does it say? Is it greater than 95%? What does it say? Now, I'm going to get the exact number. You tell me when the exact number comes up. Is it 95? Is it 96? Is it 97? Is it 98? 98. That's pretty stressful. No wonder she's got migraine headaches. How long have you had this?
Since I was a teenager.
Teenager, okay. So let's ask her body, okay, take us back to the age of cause where this was actually planted like a seed. And we'll find out what perception. See, she created and formed a perception in her mind that is no longer makes sense to run it now because she's an adult. Okay, so current age is what?
48.
48. Okay. Can we go back to age of cause? We can. Is it 48, 38? Is it 38, 28? Is it 28, 18? What does it say? Is it 18? Is it 19? 19 shows up. Okay. Is this involving parents? No, it's involving friends. Is involving spouse or boyfriend. Look at that. God. What was going on when you were 19? Just, we don't need the details per se because it's not about content. Now, I want you to understand, this is not about talking about it and burying all your wounded self. This is about energy. But what I want to do is make sure that we're locked in on what was going on. So were you involved in a relationship, getting out of a relationship, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it stressful?
Yeah.
Okay.
Killed in a car wreck.
I'm sorry?
He was killed in a car wreck.
All right. So what's his name?
Jeff.
Let's ask her body, is this involving Jeff? Is this involving Jeff? Look at her foot. She has not resolved that. She has not resolved it. And that's why her body is creating the migraine headaches, because it's in pain. So we're going to resolve it. Would you like to resolve it?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the nice thing about it. I'm not forcing her body to do anything. I'm not drugging her body or manipulating her body. And the good thing is that, have you been to chiropractors?
Yes.
And they adjust your neck?
Yes.
But you have to go back, right?
Yeah, always.
Because her body, even though you adjust it and put it back in place, the unconscious mind is pulling it out again because it hasn't resolved it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that part in love. I'm not going to go to it out of fear, because she's operating out of fear. There's a program running in her subconscious out of fear. Remember I said only two emotions we operate off of, love and fear? She's dealing with fear back here. It hasn't been resolved. So what we're going to do is we're going to release this fear, and then we're going to replace it with love. And if we replace it with love, what do you think might happen to her life in the future? That's right. Okay? All right? Now, I don't know how to heal it, but she does. Let's ask her body. I've got some mental techniques that her mind can choose from. All I got to do is ask her body how it wants to choose it. All right? Let me ask, can we release this in a very gentle and loving way? Oh, now, look at this. When I ask her unconscious mind, can we release this in a very gentle and loving way? What does it say?
Yes.
No, it says no. It doesn't shorten. Remember, the yes is a shortening. So there's a part of her that's still hiding in fear that doesn't trust. But I know how to get around that. Because I know that that part of her, that spiritual part of her, its sole desire is to experience the love of all that is. And all I've got to do is talk to her unconscious mind, which I'm going to talk to right now. In fact, I want to talk to that little girl, that little 19-year-old girl back there, and even the little girl that goes back farther than that. And I want that little girl to know that I understand that it's living in fear, and I also understand that its highest intent is to experience the love of all that is. And by hiding in fear, it will not get there. So I want to invite that part of you to cooperate so we can guide that part out of the fear and into the love. And knowing that, I want to ask her unconscious mind, is it willing to cooperate now so we can release it into love? And what does it say? Yes. Yeah, that's all it takes. It's like that little child. It's either in love or fear. So you just go to it like a wounded child out of love and communicate with it, because I know that it's a spiritual part of her. It's the God essence, and it's trying to experience the love of all that it is. Okay? So that immediately creates trust. All right, so let's ask the body how it wants to heal. Do we release it to the light? What does it say? Okay, do we do the drop down through technique? What does it say? Do we do EFT? What does it say? Do we release it to the light? What does it say? Okay, so it's told me how it wants to heal. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to transform that fear. We've got to get her out of fear so we can replace it with love. Okay, all right, and it's not about the content. Okay, so but what you said is that at 19, what was it? Your husband or boyfriend?
My boyfriend, we were engaged.
Engaged. Okay, that was pretty traumatic when he died, wasn't it? Okay.
It was very shocking.
I want you to go back to that experience momentarily. And what I'm looking for is when you go back, I want you to see what you were seeing, hearing what you were hearing, and allow the feelings to come up, because that's what we want, is the feeling, the energy. It's all about the energy. And just tell me what you're feeling when you think about that traumatic experience.
Just extreme sorrow, loss.
Okay, you feel that now when you think about it?
Yeah.
Okay, and what do you feel? You feel sorrow, loss,
Pain.
pain.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? Sadness.
Sadness.
Okay.
Yeah, like why?
Okay, see, you can't deal with that because you can't put that in a box. It has no form or shape. It's energy. But in quantum physics and in physics, they said that you can't destroy energy or create it. You can only change its form. So what we're going to do, we're going to change the form. Now we can work with it. I want you to imagine all that fear and that pain and that all. You feel that?
Yeah.
Okay. If that had a shape, if all that negative energy came together and took on a shape, what would it look like?
It would be very dark.
Okay? You can just make it up, whatever comes to your mind. Because we see them communicating with your unconscious. If all that sadness and that trauma had a shape and you were actually able to see it blend together into a form, what would it look like?
Like a dark cave.
A dark cave, okay. All right. Now, I want you to go through the motions with me, okay? I want you to take your hand, and I want you to reach right here, and I want you to pull that dark cave out. Just pull it right out of your body and hold it right there. First time in her life she's able to see what pain looks like that she's experienced. As you look at that dark cave, what color is it?
It's black.
Black, okay. Is it smooth or is it rough?
It's rough.
It's rough. Is it heavy or is it light?
It's heavy.
Is it hollow or solid or?
Well, there's entrance. To
Entrance,
the dark cave.
okay. What is your highest religious belief? Are you a Christian, Muslim, Jewish? What is your belief? Metaphysical, or
Well,
what is your concept of God?
I would say metaphysical.
Metaphysical, okay.
Christian metaphysical.
Christian
combination.
metaphysical. Okay. So you believe that God is all that is in the light?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to take that dark cave, and I want you to move it right up into the light, and just give it back. It's pure energy, and just let it disappear. Okay. Take a deep breath. Just let it go. That's right. Let me ask the body. Or it was 0% negative emotion charge. Look at that. I want you to go back to that experience that was so painful a while ago and notice what's different.
Feel peace.
Feel peace. Can you find any of the pain? Or is it sin?
I don't feel pain, but I just feel just a little sadness, but not the pain.
Okay, but the pain's not there anymore?
No.
See how quick that took? Just like that.
And I don't feel the shock.
Don't feel the shock?
Yeah, the shock.
I suspect it's probably like you're detached from it and you're looking at it from here.
Yeah.
See, a while ago, she was in the experience. She was in the pain. She was in the energy. But when we released the energy, it detached her from it, and now she's looking at it from a distance. It doesn't have that emotional impact. Now, that's gone for good. Now,
Just the thought of you bringing it up was making my body tremble, and I'm not trembling now. So.
how about that? Now, what's fascinating is that we accessed her highest religious belief, because you've heard that when you have darkness and you bring light to bear on darkness, what happens to the darkness? It disappears. So we release the fear, so now there's a clearing there. So what we want to do is
Now I think of this, huh?
we want to replace it with love and see what that does to her. Okay?
Okay.
So I want you to imagine if you were floating up into the light, you know, and you being in the light. And if you're in the light, you're in that area of co-creation with God, all that is. And I want you to look back through the light and just see your life laid out all the way back to birth, conception, and beyond. And nobody knows your life like you do.
Mm-hmm.
What can you create out of the pure essence of all that is that you can bring back that when you put it in your life will heal your life? Is it love, unconditional love? Is it peace? Is it acceptance? Is it whatever? You're the creator now.
Well, I think it's some of all of those things.
All those things. Okay, want some unconditional love?
Yeah.
Want some peace?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Joy, fun.
Fun? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, you can't put love and peace and joy in a box. You can't put it in a wheelbarrow or a container. So I want you to imagine if all that you just told me came together in a symbol, the most beautiful symbol you've ever seen. What would that symbol look like?
It's a big heart.
It's a big heart, okay. And what color is that heart?
It's pink.
Pink, okay.
A light pink.
Light pink. Is it sparkly? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. What color is the energy radiating from that heart? See the light radiating from that heart?
Yeah.
What color is it?
It's a gold white.
Gold white, okay. I want you to take that heart. That's a present to yourself. And I want you to take that heart and I want you to bring it back through the light and I want you to take it and I want you to carry it right inside.
Oops, sorry.
Carry it right inside. And just put it right there in your heart for
Okay.
safekeeping. And I want you to
Alright.
feel that.
Okay.
Okay. Now that's the love and the joy that didn't exist until you just created it.
Yeah.
And I want you to imagine and experience that light radiating through your body.
Okay.
And you send it all up your neck,
Okay.
all around your head, and just bathe in that light. And what color is that light again?
It's a white gold.
White gold, okay. You feel that radiating from your body?
Yeah.
I want you to send it all the way back. And you know that little girl back there somewhere that felt unloved at one time?
Mm-hmm.
She didn't feel loved and she felt abandoned.
Yeah.
I want you to call her to you.
Okay.
Be there with her.
Okay.
And I want you to give her this heart
Okay.
and let her feel that love and joy that you brought back.
Okay.
And I want you to take her in your arms and tell her that you've come back for her and how much you love her.
Okay.
And I want you to bring her and that heart back from right
Okay.
here for safekeeping.
Okay.
And shine that light all the way back through your life.
All right.
And let that light just heal all the traumatic experiences you've ever had.
Okay.
Take a deep breath. Just lock it in. Okay. Let me ask. Remember we were at what, 90-some% a while ago? Stress? Are we 0% negative emotional stress? What does it say? Yes. Are we 100% positive emotion on that? It says yes. All right. Does the unconscious feel loved and accepted? What does it say? Okay. Is there a little girl back there that feels loved and accepted now? What does it say? Okay. All right. Let's check her neck. Let's check the C1. Okay. Notice that it's still shorting a little bit. Not as much as it was, but it's still short a little bit. Okay. Send that light back on your neck.
Okay.
I want you to radiate that love and that light to your neck. Send it to your neck.
Okay.
Do that now.
Okay.
Just feel your neck bathing in it. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to ask your body to let me know when the unconscious has released the tension and allowed that to heal. Hasn't done it yet. Okay? Okay. Just let me know when it's completed. See it?
Okay.
Okay? Okay, let's check C1. Okay, let's check C1. Okay, is C1 out of balance? Is C1 in a state of balance and harmony? What does it say? She brought her own vertebrae back. You know what she did is she released the muscles and the tensions in her neck. How does your neck feel?
It feels good. Because
Feel
when I
better?
came here, I was in pain.
You in pain now?
No.
I didn't do it. She has all the resources within her body to heal. Okay?
I've been living almost every day of my life in pain, but most people don't know it because I don't
Okay.
talk about it. So.
You have a very special gift that you just created that did not exist until you created it.
Yeah.
And it's right here.
Okay.
And you can actually color your future with this light. In fact, I want to invite you to do that now. I want you to imagine and experience sending that light. What color is it again?
It's pink.
Pink?
Oh, the light is a white gold.
White gold.
Yeah.
Send that white gold light out into your future and see yourself out there in the future. And as you look out in the future surrounded with this white gold light, what do you see?
I see lots of. I see myself giving back, helping others, and I see fun and happiness.
That's right. Anytime you have a little stress, anytime you want to focus on a goal, all you've got to do is access that heart.
Okay.
And know that little girl's there. And just love that little girl. Check in with her, because that little girl is metabolically a symbol of your unconscious mind.
Okay.
If you take care of that little girl inside, metaphorically speaking, that little girl's going to take care of you. And now it's a togetherness thing.
Mm-hmm.
Send that light together out into your future and see yourself having and doing what you experience. And because this light represents what? Love?
Love.
That's right.
Unconditional love. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. How about a big hug? You certainly will. And keep me informed. You know, if you get one of the flyers, you know, send me an email. Let me know how you're doing.
I will.
Let me know how you're progressing.
Thank you very much.
You're certainly welcome. That's the power of your mind. And you didn't need an expert to do that, because you had all the resources within your body to heal yourself. As long as all you need is a guide to just kind of guide you in that process. So, any questions? Sure.
Could she do it to him right now?
Well, if she had the training, it's like anything else. You know, the first time you try to play a piano, you're not very good at it. This has been overall about 20 years of experimentation and working with this. But yeah, anybody can do it. Anybody can play the piano. It just takes time.
One question. Is it possible that like some of the other symptoms and things like that are caused by other things, or is it likely that that one thing is sort of the cause of everything?
Well, you know, when I asked your body if there was vitamin mineral deficiency there, it said no. If there was toxicity, it said no. It wanted to focus on that unresolved emotional issue. Now, that was the priority. There could be some small secondary things, you know, but that was what your body was creating the depression around. that issue had never been resolved. It went all the way back, that 5-year-old girl, which even went further back in the womb.
Is it likely that some of the physical and other symptoms that I have were also caused by that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Emotions can cause all kind of problems. Any other questions? No questions? Okay.
How do you work, or where do you work?
Office,
I'm curious.
Well, I basically just work out of my home, and I don't advertise or anything because it's been more of a hobby research over a period of many years. I just wanted to find out how far can I go with this? Where, how far can I take this? What are the limits to this? So it's been more research. But I do take clients, more than happy to work with you.
So what's your day job?
This
is a hobby.
Well, I have a technology. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up.
I read your mind.
Yeah. I have been working with a technology that I have developed based on scalar energy. How many people know what scalar energy is?
You told us.
Yeah. Scalar energy is a form of energy that's always existed, but it's like dark matter and dark energy that you hear about that hasn't been proven. Scalar energy is a form of energy that has a different modality. It doesn't go out like sound waves or light waves. It's an instantaneous magnetizing effect. That's the easiest way to understand it, is that it magnetizes everything that it comes in contact with its signature. And it encodes information, not energy, not power or force. It's a very subtle energy. In fact, your thoughts are a form of scalar energy, because your thoughts don't go out like light waves. Your thoughts are instantaneous and can instantaneously go to the other side of the universe or the galaxy instantaneously. It doesn't go out in long ways instantaneously. It happens. Your thoughts are a form of scalar energy. Scalar energy, if you Google it, there's a lot of information coming out about scalar energy now. The technology I have been working on and have developed around scalar energy is I have learned how to encode water and liquid nutritional products with frequencies. And this has been divinely revealed. I give credit to divinity, because over the past years I have been able to get these insights, and I'd get this insight, get these little nuggets as I pan for gold in the stream of life, so to speak. I get these little nuggets and I think, well, what if I do this? And yeah, what if I combine this or try this? And the feedback, I'd get me somebody and sit them down and access their unconscious. Their unconscious is part of that, all that is. And the feedback was coming from their mind. It was like I was tapping into a higher source, and it was telling me yes and no, try this, yes and no. And over a period of time, I've developed this technology to where now I have it to where I can energize water, and when you take a sip of this water, it has over 1.5 million frequencies encoded in it. And water holds memory just like a computer chip. In fact, I've got a DVD that I've just got that hopefully Nancy will let me show here at Unity movie night, called Water, the Great Mystery. And it validates what I'm telling you. The research has been done that they found that water has consciousness and it holds memory of the past. Well, I've discovered how to encode frequencies into water to where when you take a sip of this water, it has an immediate effect on the body. It harmonizes and brings your body back into a state of balance, because it gives the body all the vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and everything it needs energetically. And they have proven and demonstrated that since everything is energy, everything vibrates, they can literally record the vibrational frequency of a substance, play it to another substance like water, and that the characteristics of this will be just like the original. So when you drink this water, immediately it has an effect on your body. And you can bring your body back into a state of harmony and balance. Want to see it happen? I need somebody, a volunteer. Okay? Now, we're not going to do the emotional stuff. We're just going to ask our body if there's an imbalance of energy. And I'm going to show you how you can amplify your thoughts The neat thing about this technology is that it can literally amplify your thoughts like a laser beam. And I'm going to have somebody actually bring her body back into a state of balance. Okay? So let's just take the magnet, put one side on your right rib cage. Okay? Relax your feet. There you go. Okay. See your legs shorten? Okay, turn it over. Need the paper underneath. Okay. How's that? Okay. See your legs shorten? Okay, turn it over. See it come back to normal? Okay, flip it over one more time. Okay. See it shorten? Okay. Put it right underneath your breast there. We'll check your pancreas. Carry it over to the center. Okay. All right. Wow. See it shorten there? All right. Turn it over. Okay. See it come back to normal? Okay. She's got two areas out of balance. One is her pancreas and one is her liver. All right. I need a volunteer. The healer. Okay, come here. Okay. You see this right here? This is a plasma globe. Okay? I want you to put your hand on it. It's like liquid electricity. And I want you to send her energy. I want you to send her light and see her body coming back into a state of harmony. Okay, you got it? All right. Put the magnet back on your pancreas. Okay? All right. Turn it over. Okay? It didn't change. It's still short, right? Move it over to your liver. Okay? Turn it over. Okay? See, it still changes. So it didn't do anything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this technology on this light. Just like that. Now, send her energy. See her encased in white light or whatever. Got it? Okay. Okay, you can let go. All right, put it up there. Doesn't change. Flip it over. Doesn't change. Move it over to your liver. Doesn't change. Change it. Doesn't change. How'd she do that? Because when I added the technology to that light, that globe, it actually sent a magnetic field with these frequencies encoded into that plasma gas, and as she actually was touching it, it amplified her thought, which is scalar energy, and now her thoughts, instead of being scattered, was focused like a laser beam, and she sent those frequencies to her body, and her body is 75 to 90% water. Remember what I said about water? It holds frequencies and it holds memory. And it gave her body everything her body needed energetically, and it brought her body back into a state of balance. It'll last about 2.5 days. Now, when you do this to water, and you drink water, this water every day, your body maintains a state of balance. When you do this to a liquid nutritional product, and you drink this liquid nutritional product, not only will your body maintain a state of balance, but one thing that it will do, it will protect her against electromagnetic radiation. A lot of information coming out now about the hazards of cell phone. There's nothing out there other than cell phone chips that you stick on your phone that will protect you. And nothing out there that will protect you against cell phone towers. But this technology, if you're consuming this technology, it will protect you against any electromagnetic radiation. In fact, if we had a cell phone or a hairdryer, we could turn it on, her body wouldn't react to it.
Can they stop the medication?
I don't go there. That's between them and their doctor. If she feels better, she needs to go to her doctor and tell her doctor and let her doctor work with her to get her off medication.
Okay, so if you go to a doctor and you have something wrong, and then they tell you, well, you have this wrong, so you have to take these 3 medicines too now. And my body tells me, you don't have to. Every time they tell me I have to take these 2 medicines, my body says no. So who am I supposed to listen to?
Well, that's up between you and your doctor. You know, if it was me, I'd listen to my body. But I can't tell you what to do. That's a personal judgment call. You know, from our breakfast group, Art, remember when he was talking about he had a little granddaughter, and his granddaughter lived in Fort Collins, and his granddaughter was having these seizures. And they had carried the granddaughter to the doctors, and the doctors had done MRIs on her and wired her head up with EKGs and all this stuff. And they could not find out why she was having seizures. In fact, They didn't know why she was having seizures. And he asked me, what do you think? And I said, well, I don't know. I said, but we can ask. He says, well, how are you going to ask? And she's in Fort Collins. I says, we'll use you, because you have interacted with her energy field, going back to quantum physics. And so I set him down in a restaurant, and you know how long it took me to figure out what was wrong with that little girl? And the medical community now had her for numerous times, had done MRIs on her, had done EKGs on her, the whole works. They could not figure out what was wrong with that little girl because they were looking for tumors and stuff in her brain. And you know how long it took me to figure out what was wrong with her? 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Because I just picked his feet up and I asked him, I said, get an image of her. He says, yeah. I says, is it coming from vitamin mineral deficiency? No. Is it coming from toxicity? No. Is it coming from structural misalignment? Yes. Is it C1? Yes. How long did that take? About 10 seconds. So I told him, I said, call your daughter up and tell her to take that little girl, or call a chiropractor and ask the chiropractor, is it possible if C1 is out in her neck that it could cause seizures? So I went home and pulled it up on a chiropractor's website, and there it was. Causes seizures and what else, Dr. Bryce? That's right. There it was. And when I saw him a couple of weeks later, I asked him, I said, did your daughter call a chiropractor? She says, yeah. He says, she took the daughter to his granddaughter to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor, in his words, said that vertebrae was sticking out. That's what he said. I said, well, did the chiropractor adjust her? He says, no, the little girl would not let him touch her. Other than that, because she'd already gone through the trauma, then doing MRIs and EKGs and all this stuff on her head. She was traumatized, and she didn't want nobody messing with her head anymore. And I told him, I said, you know, we didn't find out why that vertebrae was out. He says, I think I know. He says, because my daughter lives in a very abusive relationship. Her husband is very physically abusive. So you've got this little daughter, this little 4-year-old girl, living in a physically violent environment. So what does she do? She creates an escape mechanism. Her subconscious mind creates stress, pulls the vertebrae out, puts stress on that nerve, creates seizures, so she escapes. And several weeks later, I asked him about it. He says, she's greatly improved. Most of the seizures have stopped. And I said, what do you contribute that to? He says, my daughter left her husband. Took that little girl out of that environment. She didn't need to create the seizures anymore. So when you're dealing with energy, I mean, there's no distance. 10 seconds. Accessed her energy field through him. So I can test anybody's